The spaceship hummed softly as it descended through the colorful clouds of Xerithia, a planet far beyond the edges of human exploration. Its surface shimmered with hues of blue and gold, as if the ground itself had been polished with starlight. Captain Elias Ward, the human diplomat sent to represent Earth, stared out of the viewport with a mix of awe and apprehension. He had seen strange worlds before, but Xerithia was unlike anything he had imagined. "Remember, Elias," the voice of his co-pilot, Lieutenant Mara Chen, crackled through the intercom. "First impressions matter. The aliens here are advanced, but they value honesty and respect above all." Elias nodded, though he already felt the weight of the task. He had spent months preparing for this mission, learning about the planet's culture, studying its language, and memorizing every protocol he could find. Still, nothing could have truly prepared him for the moment he stepped off the ship. The landing platform was vast, stretching out like a crystal sea. Towers of transparent material spiraled into the sky, reflecting the sunlight in rainbow patterns. Aliens of every shape moved gracefully through the platform. Some floated slightly above the ground, others glided on mechanical appendages, and all of them wore expressions of quiet curiosity. Then he saw her. The Princess of Xerithia appeared, at the top of a staircase made of what seemed like liquid light. She was tall, with skin that shimmered faintly like silver under moonlight. Her eyes were large and glowing, and her hair floated gently as if underwater. Elias felt a jolt of surprise. He had read descriptions, but seeing her in person was overwhelming. She radiated confidence, and yet there was a curiosity in her gaze that seemed almost human. Behind her, at a distance, stood the Queen. Even more regal, the Queen's presence was commanding but calm, like a quiet storm. She watched every movement, with a patience that made Elias's stomach tighten. "Elias Ward," the princess's voice echoed through the plaza, clear and melodic. "You have come to Xerithia. We have been waiting." He bowed deeply, trying not to let his nervousness show. "Your Highness, I am honored to be here. I come in peace, on behalf of Earth." The princess descended the staircase, her steps light, almost floating. As she reached the landing platform, she stopped just a few feet from him. Elias felt the warmth of her gaze, and it made his pulse quicken. "Do you love me, human?" she asked suddenly, without preamble. Her tone was direct, and yet there was a playful curiosity in it. Elias froze. The words echoed in his mind. "Do you love me?" He had trained for diplomacy, for negotiations, for cultural misunderstandings, but never for this. I, he began, then paused. What could he say? What did the aliens mean by love? On Earth, love was complex, a mixture of care, respect, and trust. But Xerithia was different. He had to be careful not to offend. The princess tilted her head, her eyes studying him intently. "Do not lie, human. I can feel it if you are not sincere." Elias swallowed hard. He realized that this was more than a question. It was a test. A test of honesty, courage, and understanding. He took a slow breath. "Your Highness," he said carefully, "love to humans is a feeling of deep care and respect. It is shown through actions, not only words. I cannot claim something I do not yet understand fully, but I can promise to learn and to honor you and your people." The princess's eyes narrowed slightly, and then a faint smile appeared. She seemed intrigued. "Interesting. Your words are unusual. Most beings either avoid the question or answer without thought. You hesitate. You reflect." Elias felt a small wave of relief. At least he had not offended her. Yet, he could feel the Queen's gaze on him. He had heard tales of the Queen's ability to judge character with a single glance. Do not fail. Now, he thought. The princess extended her hand. "Walk with me. Let us see if your actions match your words." Elias nodded and followed. They moved through the palace gardens, a breathtaking expanse of glowing plants and floating flowers. Some plants hummed softly, vibrating with a subtle energy that seemed to respond to movement. Alien creatures of small size flitted among the flora, some transparent, some shimmering in colors unseen on Earth. As they walked, the princess spoke. Humans are different. You feel deeply, yet you are limited by your mortality. Your species grows and learns quickly, yet often you hesitate to trust. How do you see your place in the universe? Elias thought for a moment. We are explorers. Curious. We make mistakes, but we strive to understand, to connect. Even when we fail, we try again. We value courage, friendship, and truth. These are our strengths. The princess considered this. Strength is not always measured in power, human. Sometimes it is measured in persistence, in the ability to remain sincere under scrutiny. Perhaps you have something to teach us. They reached a fountain made of liquid light, rising and falling like a living being. The water shimmered in every color imaginable, forming shapes that seemed to tell stories. The princess knelt beside it and touched the surface. It rippled with her gesture. Humans create art to express emotions, Elias said, finding his voice. We tell stories, we sing, we write, to share what we feel inside. Perhaps this is your art. The princess looked at him with something like amusement. Yes, but it is different. Our expression is not only to feel, but to understand. We must communicate without lies, without hiding intent. That is why I asked you about love. Elias nodded. He had never felt more acutely aware of the weight of words. One wrong step, one false answer, and he could damage the fragile bridge between Earth and Zerithia before it even began. Your Highness, he said gently, I will never pretend. I cannot say I feel something I do not, but I can promise sincerity. I can promise respect and understanding. I can promise to honor your people and your world with all the best that humanity can offer. The princess studied him quietly. Then she rose, and for the first time Elias saw a faint sparkle in her eyes. Perhaps this is acceptable, yet words alone are not enough. You must show it. Actions speak louder. The queen, who had remained in the shadows of the garden, finally stepped forward. Her presence was overwhelming. We shall observe, she said, her voice calm but unyielding. All that follows will determine the truth of his heart. Elias bowed again, feeling the weight of history pressing on him. He was a single human, far from home, facing beings whose power and wisdom exceeded anything he had known. And yet, in this moment he felt something stir inside him, a determination, a spark of hope. The princess led him deeper into the palace. They passed halls filled with floating lights, walls that shifted colors like liquid, and corridors lined with mirrors, reflecting possibilities rather than reality. At every turn, Elias was reminded that this world did not follow the same rules as his own. Finally, they arrived at a chamber that seemed to stretch endlessly, with platforms floating in midair. On each platform were puzzles, contraptions, and tests of intelligence and courage. This is the first of your challenges, human, the princess said. You must demonstrate that your heart matches your words. Only then will I know if you are worthy of understanding. Elias looked at the puzzles, feeling both nervous and exhilarated. The human mind thrived on challenges, on problems that required creativity and persistence. This was unlike any test he had faced. But he was ready. Lead the way, Your Highness, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. The princess smiled, a rare, fleeting expression. We shall see if your spirit shines as brightly as your words. As he stepped forward, Elias realized that the journey ahead would test not only his intelligence, but his courage, his honesty, and his humanity itself. And somehow, he knew that this was only the beginning. Above them, the queen watched silently, her eyes following every movement. Every decision Elias made, every reaction, would be weighed. The fate of Earth's relationship with Zerithia, and perhaps the galaxy itself, hung on the choices of a single human. And in that moment, standing on a planet of light and mystery, Elias Ward felt the true meaning of being human, the capacity to hope, to feel, and to act with integrity. even in the face of the unknown. The floating platforms stretched endlessly before Elias. Each was a challenge, yet unlike anything he had ever encountered. Some were puzzles of logic, twisting shapes and shifting lights. Others tested perception, demanding that he understand, abstract patterns that seemed to reflect feelings rather than facts. The princess walked beside him, observing silently, her eyes never leaving his. "You must understand us, human," she said finally. "Our thoughts are not always like yours. Our feelings are expressed differently. To survive here, to truly be accepted, you must learn to see with your heart as well as your mind." Elias nodded, though he felt the pressure mounting. On Earth, emotions could be understood through facial expressions, words, or gestures. Here, every glance, every ripple of light, every subtle sound carried meaning. Misunderstandings could be dangerous. Yet he felt a strange excitement. Humans were capable of learning, adapting, and connecting. He would show them the best of what humanity could offer. Their first stop was a hall filled with tall crystal columns. Each column projected images that seemed to dance and shift in ways he could barely comprehend. At first, the images appeared random, but the princess gestured toward them. "Do you see meaning?" she asked. Elias studied the patterns. Colors shifted, shapes formed and dissolved. He focused not on logic, but on the feeling the images evoked. Calm, curiosity, wonder, and sometimes tension. "It is like a story," he said slowly. "A story of connection. Each shape affects the others, changing the outcome." The princess's eyes brightened. "Correct. Our art is not simply decoration. It teaches observation, empathy, and patience. To understand a being, you must learn to notice the smallest details." They moved next to a garden of luminescent plants. Some glowed softly, others pulsed like beating hearts. Tiny creatures flitted. Between the leaves, their bodies transparent and shimmering. Elias was amazed at how the princess seemed to understand each movement, each sound. "Your people can communicate with creatures?" he asked. The princess shook her head. "We do not speak to them as humans do. We feel their intentions, their needs. Only through patience and observation can we interact without harm." Elias took a deep breath. "On Earth, we are just beginning to understand animals this way. We have language, but understanding emotions, that is harder. Humans try, but we make mistakes often." "Mistakes," the princess repeated, her tone curious, "can teach as much as success. You humans are persistent. That is admirable." For hours, Elias observed the creatures, trying to sense their feelings as the princess had instructed. At first, he failed repeatedly. The creatures avoided him, or his actions caused ripples of panic among the plants. But slowly, by watching, waiting, and moving with care, he began to anticipate their reactions. When a small, glowing creature approached him without fear, he smiled. "See?" the princess said softly. "Learning to understand without force is a strength. Not all beings can do this." After a pause, she added, "Your curiosity and patience may be why you were chosen for this mission. Most humans would flee, overwhelmed by our customs and tests. Yet you continue." Elias felt pride mixed with humility. He had trained for exploration, for diplomacy, for challenges, but he never expected his qualities to be so clearly tested by alien culture. Yet here, every action mattered. Every response could teach or mislead. The princess led him to a chamber with walls that reflected infinite skies, each sky different from the other. Some were golden, some dark and stormy, some calm and blue. A series of puzzles hovered in midair, glowing faintly. "You must navigate these platforms," the princess explained, "while maintaining balance, focus, and awareness of your surroundings. Each step affects the others. Your actions ripple outward, affecting more than just yourself." Elias stepped cautiously. Each platform moved slightly under his weight, responding to his balance and attention. If he focused on fear or doubt, the platforms shifted unpredictably. If he stayed calm and observed, they stabilized. The princess walked beside him, smiling faintly. "Humans fear the unknown," she said, "yet you persist. That is admirable." Hours passed. Elias learned to anticipate the platform's movements, to sense patterns in the skies, to remain aware of his surroundings while focusing on the tasks. By the end, he had completed the challenge with a careful balance of intellect, patience, and intuition. "You adapt well, human," the princess said. "Many fail this test. They are clever but impatient, or brave but careless. You demonstrate both." Elias smiled, exhausted but proud. "I am learning, and I want to understand your people and your world. If I succeed here, perhaps I can do more than survive. I can contribute." The princess nodded. "Words are easy. Actions show truth. And yet, there is more to learn." She led him into a hall filled with floating holograms of alien history. Scenes showed their ancestors discovering new planets, forming alliances, and defending against dangers from across the galaxy. The Queen's influence was clear in every image: wisdom, patience, and the careful guidance of civilization through challenges. "This is our history," the princess explained. "We value truth, honor, and foresight. Every generation is tested, not just in strength but in understanding, empathy, and morality. You, human, are now part of our observation. Will you rise to the challenge?" Elias studied the images, noting the similarities and differences with human history. Wars fought for resources, yet some for knowledge. Leaders who valued wisdom but also courage. It reminded him of Earth in some ways, and yet Zerithia's path seemed more deliberate, more mindful. "I see," he said finally. "Your people grow not just by power but by understanding, by learning from every action, every choice. I hope I can learn the same." The princess's expression softened slightly. "Learning is only the beginning. True understanding comes when you act with integrity, even when no one is watching." Suddenly, a small alarm chimed in the hall. A hologram displayed a minor disturbance in a nearby observation chamber. A creature had become trapped while exploring, a dangerous part of the palace gardens. "This is your opportunity, human," the princess said. "Your next test is practical. Can you act with courage, intelligence, and care? Or will your words be empty?" Elias nodded immediately. "I will, do my best." He followed the princess through twisting corridors, arriving at the chamber. A small, glowing creature had fallen into a narrow chasm, trapped and frightened. Its soft hum of distress echoed in the walls. Elias examined the situation. He could see no immediate way to reach it safely, but his mind raced with possibilities. He remembered the lessons of patience and observation. Slowly, he extended a platform using his knowledge of engineering combined with the alien tools nearby. With careful movements, he guided the creature to safety. It floated toward him, glowing, brighter, as if expressing gratitude. Elias smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. The princess watched quietly, her eyes gleaming. "Actions speak the truth," she said softly. "You have proven more than words can convey." As they walked back, the queen appeared silently at the end of the corridor. Her gaze swept over Elias, analyzing every detail. Elias felt a shiver of apprehension, but he held his head high. The queen nodded once, faintly. "The human demonstrates patience, courage, and insight. These qualities are rare in beings outside our world." Elias exhaled. Though exhausted, he felt a sense of accomplishment. He had faced challenges unlike any on Earth, yet he had adapted. He had learned that understanding was as important as action, that empathy and patience could save lives, and that true courage was measured not in strength alone, but in sincerity. The princess spoke again, her voice gentle but firm. "You are learning, human. Yet there is still much to understand about our world and about yourself. Tomorrow we begin another set of challenges, ones that will test your intellect, your morality, and your ability to remain true under pressure." Elias nodded. "I'm ready. I want to understand, and I want to do right by your people." If I succeed, perhaps we can build something lasting between Zerithia and Earth. The princess smiled faintly. Perhaps, but understand this. You are not merely tested for your own sake. Your actions reflect the worth of your species. One misstep could cost more than just yourself, remember that. Elias felt the weight of her words. The mission was no longer just diplomatic. It was a trial of character, a bridge between worlds. He realized that being human meant more than intelligence or skill. It meant the ability to act with heart, courage, and integrity, even in the face of the unknown. As the sun set over the glowing gardens, Elias felt both the challenge and the opportunity ahead. He had taken the first steps in earning trust, yet he knew the journey had only begun. With the princess and the queen observing, he would face trials that would test every aspect of his being. And somehow, deep within, he knew that he was ready. The stars above Zerithia twinkled with promise. For Elias Ward, the adventure had only just begun. The morning sun of Zerithia rose in streams of violet and gold, reflecting off the palace towers like rivers of light. Captain Elias Ward stood at the base of the floating sky arena, a vast platform suspended hundreds of meters above the glowing city below. The air shimmered with energy, and the hum of alien machines filled the space with a strange melodic resonance. The princess appeared beside him, her expression calm but resolute. "Today, human," she said, "you face a test not of intellect, but of courage. You must prove that your heart and your mind can act as one even under pressure." Elias studied the arena. Platforms hovered in midair, connected by streams of energy that pulsed like veins. Creatures, some small and transparent, others enormous and shimmering with energy, moved along the platforms. Some seemed gentle, while others radiated a faint menace. Elias felt a flicker of anxiety, but he steadied himself. He had faced strange challenges before, and this was no different. Patience, observation, and careful planning would guide him. The princess led him to a platform that hovered closer to the edge of the arena. On it lay a creature, a small, four-legged being with translucent skin that shimmered with soft colors. Its limbs were tangled in a lattice of energy barriers that seemed impossible to touch. "This is your challenge," the princess said. "Rescue the creature without harming it or yourself. Use your mind, your skills, and your courage. You have 1 hour. The queen watches." Elias nodded and approached the creature carefully. Its glowing eyes met his, and he felt a surge of empathy. The being was frightened, but not aggressive. He examined the energy lattice, noting the pulses and rhythms. If he moved too quickly, the barriers would tighten. If he hesitated too long, the creature could panic and injure itself. He knelt, observing. "Calm," he whispered. "Just stay calm." He extended a hand slowly, watching the energy pulses. The lattice responded to intent and movement, not strength. Elias realized he needed to synchronize his actions with the rhythm of the barriers. Minutes passed. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he moved slowly, testing different approaches. Each motion had consequences. A wrong step could send the creature tumbling or trap him. He remembered the lessons of patience and observation the princess had taught. Think, feel, act carefully, he reminded himself. Finally, he discovered the pattern. The barriers pulsed in a sequence, almost like a heartbeat. Timing his movements with each pulse, he reached the creature. It trembled, but did not resist. Gently, he freed one limb, then another, keeping his movements slow and deliberate. The princess watched in silence, her eyes sharp and focused. Above them, the queen observed from a floating platform, her expression unreadable. Elias felt the weight of their gaze, but he did not falter. He focused only on the creature. With one final motion, he freed the creature entirely. It floated toward him, emitting soft glows of gratitude. Elias smiled, relief flooding him. The arena seemed to exhale, the hum of energy softening. "Excellent," the princess said, her voice breaking the silence. "You have demonstrated courage, intelligence, and empathy. Many fail this test, human. They see danger and panic. You You act with reason and heart. Elias felt a thrill of pride. But the princess was not finished. She gestured to the next challenge, a series of floating platforms, each connected by narrow bridges of light that shifted unpredictably. Now, she said, you must navigate this path to reach the next stage. It will test not only your courage, but your focus and adaptability. He stepped forward carefully. The bridges moved under his weight, requiring him to adjust constantly. Below, the city of Zerithia stretched like a sea of glowing lights, far too high for a human to fall. Yet he felt no fear. Each step required observation, timing, and trust in his own abilities. Halfway across, a sudden surge of energy made the bridge sway violently. Elias stumbled but did not fall. He steadied himself, focusing on the rhythm of the platform, and continued. Each obstacle demanded more than physical skill. It required patience, calmness, and careful judgment. At the end of the path, a larger challenge awaited, a creature of immense size, with scales that shimmered like liquid metal and eyes that glowed like twin suns. It had become trapped in a complex array of energy threads writhing and emitting low vibrations of distress. The princess gestured. "This is your final test for today," she said. "Rescue the creature, and you prove your worth not only to me but to the queen. Fail, and you must reflect on your choices." Elias studied the being. Its size was intimidating, but he remembered the smaller creature he had saved. Patience, observation, and empathy would guide him. He approached, slowly, his eyes tracking the patterns of the energy threads. The creature trembled but did not attack. He noticed that the threads responded not just to touch but to intent. Calm movements caused them to loosen slightly, while aggressive actions tightened them. Elias closed his eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath and focused on steady, sincere intent. Carefully, he guided the creature's limbs, freeing one after another. The energy threads pulsed violently at first, but gradually relaxed as he synchronized with their rhythm. Minutes felt like hours, but finally the creature was free. It floated beside him, emitting a soft hum of relief. The princess clapped lightly, a rare expression of delight. "You see, human? True courage is not absence of fear, but action despite it. You have shown wisdom, patience, and heart. All three are required to be worthy of trust." Elias exhaled, feeling exhaustion and exhilaration together. The queen moved closer, descending silently onto the platform. Her gaze swept over him, weighing every detail of his actions. "You have performed well," she said finally, her voice deep and calm. "Few outsiders show such balance of courage, intellect, and empathy. You have earned not only our observation but our respect." Elias bowed, feeling both humility and pride. He had faced challenges unlike any on earth, yet he had adapted. He had learned that courage was measured not by force, but by sincerity, patience, and careful thought. The princess smiled faintly, her eyes bright with approval. "Tomorrow you will face another test," she said. "A challenge not only of skill but of morality. You must prove that your decisions are guided by honor, even when no one else watches." Elias nodded, understanding the weight of her words. Each test was more than a trial. It was a lesson, a measure of human qualities that Zerithians valued: honesty, courage, empathy, and integrity. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the sky in hues of violet and gold, Elias walked beside the princess back to the palace. The city below shimmered, alive with lights and movement, but he felt a quiet calm. He had faced fear and uncertainty, and emerged not only unscathed, but strengthened. The queen's voice echoed softly in his mind as he walked. "Remember, human, true worth is shown not in words alone, but in choices made under pressure. The universe watches those who act with integrity." Elias knew that the journey ahead would test him even further, yet he felt ready. He was learning not only about the alien world, but about the true potential of humanity, the ability to act with reason, courage, and heart, even in the most alien and challenging circumstances. When they reached the palace, the princess turned to him. "Rest now, human. Tomorrow brings new trials, new opportunities to show the strength of your spirit, and, perhaps, new understanding of what love and trust can mean across worlds." Elias smiled faintly. Though exhaustion tugged at him, he felt anticipation. Each challenge had taught him something new, not just about Zarithia, but about himself and humanity. He had survived fear, adapted to the unknown, and acted with empathy and integrity. As he prepared to rest for the night, Elias gazed out over the glowing city. The stars above Zarithia sparkled with promise. He felt a quiet determination growing within him. Whatever challenges awaited, he would face them with courage, patience, and honor. And somewhere in the distance, the princess and queen observed, silently noting every choice, every action, every heartbeat. The human had proven himself capable today, but tomorrow he would be tested even further. For Elias Ward, the adventure had only just begun. The morning light spilled over the palace of Zarithia, illuminating towers that gleamed like crystal and gardens that shimmered with colors beyond imagination. Captain Elias Ward stood in the throne room, a space larger than any hall on Earth, filled with floating holograms and streams of soft, glowing light. The air was calm, yet charged with expectation. The princess appeared beside him, her presence gentle yet commanding. She had observed him closely over the past days, testing his courage, patience, and intelligence. Now it seemed she sought something deeper, an understanding that went beyond skill or knowledge. "Human," she began, her voice soft but firm. "You have shown strength, intellect, and courage. But there is one thing yet unknown. Do you understand what it means to truly care for another being?" Elias hesitated. He had studied alien culture, faced trials of skill and bravery, and shown patience in ways he had never imagined. But now, the question was different. It was not about survival, or intellect, or even courage. It was about understanding the heart, about connection. "To care," he said finally, "is to put another being's needs above your own at times. It is to act with honesty and respect. To protect, to listen, to learn, and to accept differences. Love, in human terms, is built on trust and actions, not just words." The princess regarded him thoughtfully, her luminous eyes reflecting light like twin moons. "You speak of actions, human. Words can be hollow. Many beings promise loyalty or love, but their deeds reveal truth. Will your heart match your words?" Elias felt the weight of her gaze. The queen, standing silently in the shadows, watched as well. He remembered the lessons he had learned over the past days: patience, empathy, courage. He realized that honesty and sincerity were the most important tests of all. "I cannot promise feelings I do not yet fully know," Elias said, speaking slowly, carefully. "But I can promise to act with respect, integrity, and care. I can promise that my decisions will honor you and your people. I can promise that my actions will reflect my words and my words will never be empty." The princess's expression softened slightly. "Perhaps this is enough. Yet there is another step. You must demonstrate understanding, not only of yourself, but of our culture, and the choices that bind us." She led him to a chamber filled with holographic displays depicting moments of Zarithian history. Battles fought for survival, alliances formed with distant worlds, moments of peace and understanding, each scene pulsed with a subtle energy. The holograms responded to emotions, shifting and altering depending on the observer's feelings. "See these moments?" the princess asked. "Our people act not only with power but with foresight, empathy, and honor. Every decision is measured, every choice carries weight. How would a human act in such circumstances?" Elias studied the displays. On Earth, decisions often had immediate consequences, but rarely were they observed across generations with such precision. "Humans are imperfect," he said honestly. "We make mistakes, yet we learn. We act with courage and sometimes with fear. But when guided by integrity and understanding, our actions can unite, protect, and inspire. I would hope to act in that way with thought and care. The princess's eyes narrowed, studying him. Your words are true, yet true understanding comes not from speech, but from demonstration. You will now face a moral challenge, one that requires courage, wisdom, and compassion. Elias followed her to a platform overlooking a vast canyon that glowed with bioluminescent energy. Below, a group of small alien creatures had become trapped in a sudden energy storm, unable to move, without risk of harm. The princess gestured to him. These beings need rescue, she said. The path is dangerous, unstable, and requires careful planning. You may save them, or you may fail. How will you proceed? Elias examined the storm. The energy currents pulsed unpredictably, and the creatures trembled with fear. His mind raced with possibilities. He could rush in and risk harm to the creatures, or he could observe, plan, and act with precision. He chose the latter. Stay calm, he whispered, focusing on the patterns of the energy currents. He noticed that the pulses had a rhythm, a subtle flow that could be anticipated. Moving slowly and carefully, he extended a series of floating platforms using his knowledge of both alien and human engineering principles. Step by step, he guided the creatures toward safety, adjusting for every change in the storm's intensity. The creatures responded, trusting his movements, and he felt a deep connection growing between himself and the beings he protected. Each life mattered, and he treated every decision with respect and care. Finally, the last creature was safe. Elias exhaled, feeling relief and satisfaction. The princess watched, a faint smile on her face while the queen remained silent but observant. You acted with wisdom and compassion, the princess said softly. Not all beings would consider the needs of others before their own. You have demonstrated understanding, human. You have shown what it means to care beyond self-interest. Elias bowed slightly. I only did what felt right. That is all any of us can do with knowledge, courage, and heart. The princess led him to a balcony overlooking the glowing city of Zerithia. The lights shimmered like stars fallen to the war ground, and the air carried a gentle hum of energy. Human, she said, her voice quieter now. You have faced challenges that would test any being. Yet you have persisted, adapted, and acted with integrity. I see now that your words and your heart are aligned. You are different from most outsiders we have encountered. Elias felt a warmth in his chest. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and moral dilemmas, yet he had remained true to his principles. His humanity, his patience, courage, empathy, and integrity had shone through even in the most alien and challenging circumstances. The princess turned to him fully, her eyes bright. Do you now understand what love can mean? Not only as feeling, but as action? Trust and care, protection and respect. These are its forms. Actions speak louder than words, and intentions stronger than promises. Elias nodded slowly. Yes, I understand. Love is not just emotion. It is responsibility, respect, and choice. It is seeing another being as worthy of effort, trust, and care. It is acting in ways that honor them, even when it is difficult. The princess smiled faintly, a rare and beautiful expression. Then you have learned what many never do. You have shown the strength of your species, human, not by power alone, but by heart, mind, and courage. Above them, the queen finally spoke, her voice calm and deliberate. Your journey is far from complete, human, yet today, you have demonstrated qualities rare among beings outside our world. Integrity, courage, empathy, these are the foundations of trust, and trust is the beginning of unity. Elias bowed, feeling a deep sense of pride and responsibility. He had come to Zerithia as a diplomat, representing Earth, but he had proven something more. He had shown that humanity, in its imperfections and strengths, could be trusted, respected, and admired. The princess reached out, her hand glowing, faintly. You have earned understanding, human. Not only of our people, but of yourself. The choice you make in the heart is as important as any skill or knowledge. Remember this, as the days ahead will test you further, in ways beyond courage or intellect. Elias placed his hand gently over hers, feeling the subtle pulse of her energy. I will remember, and I will act with the integrity, respect, and care that I have learned, for your people, for this world, and for the bond we are building. The princess's eyes glimmered, a mixture of approval and curiosity. Perhaps this is the beginning of something greater. Yet know this, human, the heart is the greatest test of all. And sometimes even the strongest mind cannot predict what it will face. Elias understood. He had faced trials of intellect, courage, and empathy. He had learned patience and observation. He had rescued lives, solved puzzles, and navigated danger. But the princess had shown him that the ultimate challenge was understanding, connection, and the choices of the heart. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the city in shades of gold and violet, Elias felt a quiet determination. He had learned that humanity's strength was not only in action or intellect, but in the heart. He had begun to understand what the princess and queen valued most: honesty, empathy, courage, and respect. And in that understanding, he saw a path forward, not only as a diplomat of Earth, but as a being capable of bridging worlds, of forming bonds that transcended species, culture, and distance. The princess watched him silently, her gaze thoughtful. Tomorrow, she said, softly, you will face the final tests, ones that will show if your choices, your heart, and your spirit can unite not only two beings, but two worlds. Elias bowed. I am ready, Your Highness. I will act with honor, courage, and care. I will do my best. The queen's voice echoed quietly in the chamber, calm and powerful. Then we shall see, human. The future may rest in your hands, but the measure of your worth is not in words alone. It is in every choice you make, every action you take, every life you touch. Elias exhaled, feeling both the weight and the promise of the days ahead. He had learned more about himself than he had imagined possible. He had faced fear, challenge, and moral dilemmas and emerged with understanding and strength. The morning sun rose over Zarethia, spilling violet and gold across the palace towers. Captain Elias Ward stood at the balcony overlooking the glowing city. Today was the final day of his trials, and a quiet tension filled the air. The princess appeared beside him, her presence calm yet commanding. Behind her, the queen observed from her usual distance, radiating a quiet authority that made every movement meaningful. You have learned much, human, the princess said softly. Courage, intelligence, patience, empathy. But today will test your judgment, your understanding, and the depth of your heart. Are you ready? Elias nodded, though a flicker of nerves ran through him. He had faced physical challenges, moral dilemmas, and tests of patience, but this was different. Today was about diplomacy, responsibility, and the choice to act with wisdom. It would determine not just his future, but the future of Earth's relationship with Zarethia. I am ready, Your Highness, he said, voice steady. I will act with care, integrity, and honesty. The princess smiled faintly. Then let us begin. They moved through the palace to a chamber unlike any Elias had seen before. It was circular, with walls made of a translucent material that reflected the glowing city outside. In the center floated a series of holographic projections, images of Earth, Zarethia, and other worlds, connected by lines of light that represented trade, communication, and alliances. Your final challenge, the princess explained, is to propose a solution that will benefit both our worlds. You have learned our culture, our values, our strengths and weaknesses. You have seen courage, patience, and compassion. Now show that humanity can be a partner worthy of trust. Elias studied the projections. He thought of his people, their achievements, their curiosity, their drive to explore, to understand, and to connect. He thought of the Zarethians, their wisdom, their patience, and the careful balance they maintained across generations. And he realized that the key was not simply words or promises, it was understanding, respect, and mutual trust. "Your Highness," he said slowly, "Earth seeks not only friendship, but understanding. We have made mistakes, but we learn quickly. We value honesty, courage, and empathy. If we work together, we can share knowledge, protect life, and explore the universe in ways that neither of our worlds could alone. Our partnership would be built on trust, mutual respect, and shared responsibility." The princess studied him silently, her glowing eyes reflecting the holograms. Elias continued, "I propose exchanges of knowledge and culture, joint missions to explore other worlds, and the establishment of councils where humans and Zerithians can discuss and solve problems together. Every decision will be guided by integrity and care, just as I have tried to act during my time here." The princess's lips curved into a smile, faint but genuine. "Your words are clear and sincere, human. You speak not only of your people, but of understanding, action, and responsibility. You have learned well. But words alone do not seal trust. Will your actions continue to reflect these promises?" Elias felt a surge of determination. "I will act to honor these words. I will not falter, even when challenges arise. My actions will speak for humanity." The queen finally stepped forward, her presence commanding yet calm. Her eyes swept over Elias, taking in every detail, the confidence in his posture, the sincerity in his voice, the calm in his eyes. "You have completed all trials," the queen said, her voice deep and deliberate. "You have faced fear, danger, and moral dilemmas. You have acted with intelligence, courage, empathy, and integrity. Your words align with your actions. You have earned not only our respect but our trust." Elias bowed deeply, feeling both relief and pride. He had come to Zerethia as a visitor, representing Earth. Now he stood as a partner, a bridge between two worlds. The princess stepped closer. "Human, you have shown qualities rare in beings outside our world. Courage, patience, empathy, wisdom, and a heart capable of understanding beyond fear. I admire you." Elias felt warmth in his chest, but he remained humble. "Your Highness, I am honored, but all I have done is act as any human should strive to act, with care, honesty, and respect. I hope this is the beginning of a lasting friendship between our peoples." The princess extended her hand, a subtle glow pulsing from her skin. Elias took it carefully, feeling the energy and sincerity in her touch. The connection was brief, but it conveyed trust, respect, and understanding without a single word. "The Queen observed, her expression softening slightly. "This moment is rare," she said. "A being from another world has shown that trust and cooperation are possible. If all humans were like you, our civilizations could flourish together." Elias felt a profound sense of responsibility. He understood now that his actions reflected not only himself, but humanity. One decision could strengthen or weaken the bond between worlds. Yet he felt ready. He had faced challenges of mind, body, and heart, and had learned the value of integrity. Above all, the princess led him to the balcony overlooking the city. The lights of Zerethia shimmered below like a living tapestry, each glow representing life, knowledge, and energy. "Do you see, human?" she asked. "This is what our people value. Not power alone, but wisdom, courage, and the ability to act with heart. You have shown all of these. And now you may help shape our future together." Elias gazed at the city, taking in its beauty, complexity, and harmony. "I see, Your Highness, and I will do my best to honor this trust. Not just for today, but for every day we work together. Earth and Zerethia can achieve much if we act with understanding, care, and cooperation." The princess smiled, a radiant expression that seemed to light the balcony itself. "Then let this be the beginning, not only of alliance, but of friendship. You have proven that humans are capable of more than we expected. Your people are worthy of trust, human, because of beings like you." The queen stepped forward once more, her gaze sweeping the city and then Elias. Let it be known, she said, that humanity has shown qualities worthy of respect and partnership. Let the alliance begin, built on courage, integrity, and empathy. May both worlds grow together, guided by wisdom and heart. Elias bowed deeply, feeling the weight and honor of the moment. He had come to Zarithia unsure of his place, facing trials unlike any on Earth. Now he stood as a representative of humanity's best qualities: courage, empathy, intelligence, and integrity. The princess looked at him, her eyes bright with approval. Human, you have earned my admiration and respect, and perhaps something more. Elias smiled gently, understanding the subtle meaning. Your Highness, I am honored, but all I seek is to honor your people and to build a lasting bond between our worlds. The princess nodded. That is enough. Actions speak louder than words, human. You have shown your heart, and that heart has proven worthy. Below, the city of Zarithia glowed like a sea of stars. The citizens moved gracefully, observing the palace from a distance, aware of the human who had faced trials with courage, intelligence, and empathy. The queen's words echoed through the chambers and corridors. Trust, understanding, and cooperation would guide the future. Elias felt a quiet satisfaction. He had not only survived the tests, but he had proven the strength of humanity itself. Not through technology nor power, but through heart, courage, and integrity. These were the traits that could unite worlds, create alliances, and build bridges where none had existed before. The princess extended her hand again, this time as a gesture of partnership. Elias took it with care, feeling the sincerity and trust conveyed through the simple act. The queen observed silently, a rare smile forming as she recognized the significance of the moment. Together, the princess said softly, we will explore, protect, and learn. Our worlds may be different, but our goals are shared. Trust and understanding will guide us. Elias nodded. Together, he agreed, and I will honor this trust, every step of the way. The queen spoke once more, her voice echoing with authority and wisdom. Let this day be remembered as the beginning of a lasting alliance, human and Zarithian working together. May courage, empathy, and understanding guide every decision, every action, every choice. Elias felt the weight of history in her words. He had come to Zarithia unsure of his place, facing trials that tested mind, body, and heart. Now he stood as a symbol of humanity's potential, a being capable of courage, empathy, and integrity that could earn respect even among the most advanced alien civilizations. The princess smiled at him, a quiet joy in her eyes. You have done more than survive, human. You have inspired trust, admiration, and hope, and perhaps even friendship. Elias returned the smile, feeling a sense of fulfillment deeper than he had ever known. He had faced fear, challenge, and uncertainty, and had emerged stronger, wiser, and more connected. The sun rose higher, casting its golden light over the palace and city. Elias gazed out over the glowing landscape, imagining a future where Earth and Zarithia worked together, where humans and aliens learned from one another, and where courage, integrity, and empathy guided every choice. For the first time since his arrival, he felt fully at home, not just on Zarithia, but in the understanding that humanity's best qualities could shine across the stars. The princess stood beside him, her presence calm and reassuring. The queen watched from a distance, satisfied and approving. Elias knew that